Hi out there, it's me, Brianna. Sorry, Taylor was being silly before and it just got up to me. Um, we are starting a Patreon fans only Patreon. That's the news of the week.
What are you talking?
Welcome back from the intro. I have to say, so Melon, when people join the side thing to get added into a podcast or whatever, it will read out who's joined, right?
Wait, did Sam join?
No,
Damn
not
it!
So when Taylor joined, the Melon recording is like Taylor in his garage set up. So I'm like, oh look, there you go.
Yes, he's here. Oh my god! Oh my god! Just in time. Sam, we just started recording. Wow! Excellent timing.
Oh,
We waited for you against your wishes,
Against you.
thank you.
and I'm coming to you guys with my bad microphone with a subpar webcam because I'm currently on travel, but this week's news was too big to not address. So here I am with doing what I can. Sorry, Kevin, in advance. If this audio
Kevin's
quality,
gonna be real mad.
he's gonna be real mad and he's gonna spank me. Not that I, yeah. So it's not gonna be good. Anyway, oh yeah, Bree forgot to thank our patrons. You're
I
listening
haven't
to
done
No
anything yet
Limits,
because
a
no,
PlayStation podcast.
what are you?
No, you're gonna do it.
I don't know. You haven't even given me a chance yet.
All right, do it. Come on.
Okay, hi everybody. My name's Brianna. Today I'm joined by my co-hosts Sam and Taylor. You're listening to No Limits, a PlayStation podcast. Remember, you can find the video version on this podcast on youtube.com/save the game media every Tuesday. While you're over there, please subscribe to the channel. If you'd rather listen to the audio, we all are your favorite podcast services, and we would love it if you left us a review. It does help us grow, and we do love feedback. If you do want to support and get early access to all Save the Game media content, head over to patreon.com and choose whatever tier that works for you. It starts from $1. And I do want to say, we now have an open thing going where if we can get 1,000 patrons, you don't even have to do that much, just $1 each. 1,000 patrons, Kevin said he would get a tattoo on his butt. So we gotta get working on that. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, true story.
When did he say this, Bree?
I'm so serious. I'm not making this up. I can't remember when it was, though. That's the problem.
Did he say it on air?
Yeah, you did.
Wow. Well, if we got 1,000 patrons, probably at least one of us, no, I guess not necessarily quit our jobs, but we probably wouldn't have to pay for anything gaming related indefinitely if we had 1,000 patrons.
That's
Guess
true.
is how must be nice, kind of funny, huh?
Huh? So shout out to our current patrons. We have Bucky Blue, Amon, Fabulous Brianna, Brianna's mom, Brianna's brother, Brianna's wife, Nikolai at Night, Cypher Primus, Brendan Myers, Marcus O'Neill, Lillian, Mimi J, The Snack Network, David Harp, Dave Harp, and the Xbox Expansion Pass. Again, please go over to patreon.com/save the game media to check it out. And we'd love if you also join our Discord. The link is in the show notes always. So
don't forget Twitter at Save Game Media.
That's usually the ending thing, Taylor.
Don't forget our Twitter at Save Game Media.
He's like, Brianna, I really need you to host this week, but I actually want to host.
Yeah, I'm mansplaining.
Well, then let me put you back in the host seat.
Sorry.
All right. How is everybody doing? Taylor, how are you?
Sam, you look really good today.
Oh.
Do I?
That's true. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That's no much problem. Appreciated. Not too bad yourself.
Thanks, buddy. with my garage. Here in my garage. Bree asked how I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine. I hope Toph is okay. I'm fine.
That's what I was waiting for. I wanted to get that out of the way. So Taylor is not in his usual setup, obviously. So he has a babysitter. He hasn't heard from the babysitter today. So
The cat babysitter. Yeah. Don't worry. I don't have a kid who I just like. That's even worse. Imagine if you left a kid
don't fit here.
and then something happens to your kid's babysitter, and then your kid's just, yep, that's a lot worse than a cat. Sam, for context, my cat sitter didn't give me an update yesterday.
Right.
They gave me an update Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I just sent a text earlier today asking how was she yesterday. I haven't got a response yet. So my anxiety is saying something happened. There's no cat sitter. Something's wrong. Toffs has no food or water, and she's stranded.
Oh dear.
But in reality, I'm almost positive that probably isn't the case.
Yeah, probably
Fingers
not.
crossed.
Thanks, Sam. Sam, that doesn't help. All right. What do you mean, fingers crossed? All right.
Well, you know, I can't confirm, but she'll be fine.
Thanks.
How are you today, Sam?
Very, 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 very busy. Some stuff has been sort of launched upon me unexpectedly, which is not a unusual occurrence, to be fair, but it's a little bit of a shock to the system. Wasn't necessarily anticipating it, but no, I'm doing all right. I have coffee.
Wait, you're drinking coffee?
Yeah.
Wow, you must be busy. I didn't know you even drank coffee.
Sam, are you staying up all night?
That is my every night. No, I won't be doing an all-nighter, but it will be pretty hectic. I can't, unfortunately, talk about what it is. But it's not like exciting. It's not like a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing either. It's very complicated. And
the Elden
I was
Ring
busy
DLC.
before.
Oh,
yeah. I've got my hands on it right now, playing it.
Actually, right this second.
I don't want to start spreading that.
Sorry, Kevin. It's coming out. No, it's not. It's not coming out this year. That was a good counter.
Hey, you never know. You never know.
Taylor, you were really bad at manifesting positive.
It's not gonna happen. Toff's not doing well. That's not doing well. It's not.
Yeah.
You missed it before the show, Sam. We were both spiraling. It was great. It was great. We were like, where's Sam? He was really excited about this. Like, we were both like, what if something happened? And we like egged each other on.
We're like, Sam's really excited for Foam Soaker. You know.
That's true.
I mean, the title of that game is bad, but you just made it infinitely worse.
Sometimes there was someone to foam soak me, you know, but can't always get what you want. What?
I don't fancy foam soaking you, I'm afraid.
Whoa, come on.
Whoa, I thought we were all married.
Right?
You know, some things just don't float people's boats. And
that's fair.
Soaking in foam isn't one of mine.
All right.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Anyway, what have you been playing?
Weirdly enough, can't talk about it.
Yeah. Can't talk about it. The sequel?
Can't talk about it. The sequel, yeah. Can't talk about it too. Electric Boogaloo, that's what it's called.
Oh wait, I know what you're playing. Actually, I think I know what you're playing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a busy time. I'm having fun with it, whatever it is, and that's all I've been playing. Actually, the only other thing is for the first time, because of something that came up in the showcase, I've dipped my toe very briefly, and I won't have the time to go back to it, unfortunately, for the time being. I did dip my toe into Gree for the first time.
Oh my god, that game is
I want to play that game.
So good. I have beat that game. You guys won't even believe it.
No.
I have.
I mean, it's like 5 hours.
Fantastic.
So
Whoa. It's a game I beat. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But no, I mean, I've played like maybe half an hour, and
so
it's as good as the trailers and visuals made it look. Not sure if I'm going to end up loving it at the end of the day, but I still think I like playing these sort of more artsy, thematic games regardless. So that's me. Wish I could tell you more, but alas.
What have you been playing, Taylor? One of these times we're gonna be in person, and I'm gonna be able to fuck you.
I've been playing Zelda. Since I'm on travel, I don't have a
Not Tears of the
PlayStation.
Kingdom, though.
No, I'm not playing that game. Sorry, boomers, not that game. That looks so really. Tears of the Kingdom looks so good.
It
Looks
is
really
good.
good.
It's fantastic.
It looks just as good as Final Fantasy 16. Anyway, I've been playing Breath of the Wild. I have beaten the 4th Divine Beast. I have 95 shrines, all 4 or 96, one of the two. All 4 Divine Beasts down. I still have the Hebrew Mountains to explore. Those who don't know, is in the northwest corner of the map, the big snowy area where the Rito village is. Explore around there. I want to also explore some of Lanneryu, or however it's pronounced, down in the southeastern corner of the map that I just, at least looking at my map with my shrine count and where I found Koroks, it looks like I just haven't found any around there. So it makes me think I just didn't explore there much previously in my playthrough. So I want to head around back there to go shrine hunting. I also want to, and I haven't yet, I want to find the Hylian shield. Still haven't done that. I have the Master Sword, but I haven't found the Hylian shield. A little birdie told me it's near Hyrule Castle, or in Hyrule Castle. So I'm going to go see if I can find it around there. So in addition to Hylian shield hunting and more shrine hunting and map completing, I plan to find all the shrines I can in the Hylian shield. And then after I do that to the extent of my abilities, then I'll use a guide to fill out the remaining shrines to hit 120 and the Hylian shield if I haven't found it on my own yet. And then and only then will I commit to fighting Ganon. And then I will put Freudian slip, feet. Anyway, I will put Breath of the Wild down as done. And then it is full steam ahead towards Final Fantasy 16. If I finish Breath of the Wild with many days to spare before Final Fantasy 16 releases, I'll continue Ghost. The plan is Breath of the Wild, hit Final Fantasy, if I don't finish Final Fantasy, I finish Final Fantasy with a lot of time left before Spider-Man comes out. Finish Ghost, then Spider-Man, then finish Ghost. Then I think I'll try hitting Tears of the Kingdom.
Dang.
I think that's how this is going to go. Some really big games, but I am like 70% through Ghost, and I feel like I'm on the precipice of the closing moments of Breath of the Wild. 130 hours, 6 years in the making. Haven't let the game go. And of course in the fall, what am I saying? I will be playing Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. So I never played the Metal Gear Solid games. So we'll talk about later. That's going to be in there. A lot of games. Final Fantasy 16 looks so good. I'm going to eat paste when that game comes out. It's going to be great.
Sounds like a great time.
But Breath of the Wild is what I've been playing.
Have you seen all of the videos of people like absolutely torturing the Koroks?
Yeah, I saw someone, or sorry, I didn't see the videos. Like I've been trying to not watch the game, but I've been hearing in podcast land. Apparently, someone on like a lot of TikToks. Apparently, someone, I don't know how they did it. They somehow mounted a Korok to a makeshift rocket ship and sent them into orbit. The funniest. You know, in Breath of the Wild, I like mutilating Koroks as much as the other person, but I just drop rocks on their head.
Yeah.
I also throw bombs at NPCs and they just flinch.
The creativity. Somebody did like a roasting pit. Had like a bunch of Koroks on the stick and was roasting them over a fire. It was
my god.
funny.
Wait, so like in Tears of the Kingdom, can you grab them? Like, how do they do this? Because they're standing on some sort of ground. Then you could just take them from that ground or something, right?
Yeah, I can't tell you without like yeah.
Okay, I at least know that much. Okay.
Yeah, with Ultra Hand, you grab them and attach them to things, and then you just
Oh,
like
to other
carry
you
them
can put them on
around.
the other.
Yeah,
Put them on like
yeah.
that's great. Sam, and you've been playing Redacted, right?
Yes.
We already talked about.
Right. Oh yeah, sorry, I have issues. Bree, what about you? More tears? Did you finish a game? Or was that last week?
No, I did. I have my beat out. Where's the face? I have my
Beat
beat
because you
because I
beat a
beat a
game?
game.
All
Yeah,
right.
I got the platinum in humanity. So yeah,
Wow.
it was a really good game. It's like I said last week, like I find that it kind of like affects the way that I do things for a little bit of time after I play,
Hmm.
because the way you have to think of things very much like in a sequence of events. Like, so okay, if I go this way, then this way, then if this happens, like that kind of stuff. And so I find myself after I play that game like thinking of things in a sequence of events, which is really bizarre. But yeah, other than that, I would say that like the game was really good. I thought it was really well designed. I think it's a really fantastic puzzle game. It is kind of bizarre, but
That's an understatement.
it kind of does remind me of like um oh god. What is that setup game? My exercise stuff like that. So, yeah, pretty good. Um let's see. What else did I play? Oh, I do not know how to pronounce it, but I picked up Thymesia. I don't know how to say that word, to be completely frank.
Thymesia.
Um sure. Um but it's one of the free games from last month, I think. It's like a Souls-like game. Um, it's actually pretty good. It's definitely not as like polished as a Souls game, and the combat isn't as polished, but it has a really cool mechanic with like the way that you damage enemies that I found
Hmm.
like really like satisfying.
Cool.
So basically, you have your R1 and R2, right? So the R1 does so there's like a basically like this white it's basically like almost like a shield. So your R1 damages them so that they're wounded, and then you use your R2 to like get rid of that health. And so you have to switch between the R1 and R2 to like switch between like damaging them so that you can get rid of their health. Like, so you take the shield, it's not exactly a shield, but you wound them in order to like kill them basically. And then once you have them at 0 health, you do an execution on them, which is really satisfying. Um, so it's not the best game I've ever played, but it's pretty
Oh
satisfying
wait,
combat. So
isn't this that Bloodborne like? I think of the wrong
that's
game.
what I yeah, it's a Souls like, yeah.
Yeah, I just zoned out. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, you're good. But yeah, it's like it's kind of like plague related. So yeah,
Hmm.
Bloodborne E. Definitely not as polished, so like don't
Wow.
expect like a From Software level game, but
Just
it's good.
putting the developer on blast because they're not Bloodborne. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to.
There
So,
goes our
anyways,
chances of getting review codes. Am I
yeah.
right?
All
Hee
right.
hee.
Let's move on to the stories.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and start with everything announced in the PlayStation Showcase. We have a lot of tea to catch everybody up on. But before we
British
can
tea.
catch you up on the tea, why does it matter what kind of tea?
I don't know. Brits like tea.
Okay, that's true, but so do you and I.
I'm not a big tea guy.
You said you used to drink tea, so
Yeah, not much.
you've given me tea recommendations, even Taylor.
What?
Yeah,
When?
so in the food channel at some point.
I must have been committing fraud. I don't know.
Okay, anyways. So we had the PlayStation 2023 showcase this last week. We did a live reaction. If you haven't seen it yet, you can go watch that. We're just gonna go ahead and kind of go through some of the reveals. I'm pulling this from IGN. So first, this did not happen first. This is just the order that they have it listed in. Don't hate me. Spider-Man 2 got a lengthy gameplay showcase. It was pretty cool, not gonna lie. I will most likely not be playing, but it still did look cool. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater remake was announced. Let's see. And then they are also doing the collection that Taylor mentioned, which will include Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, and then Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
Yes.
Um,
Or Metal Gear Solid
see?
Oh, that's right. That's the remake. Never mind.
No, yeah, Delta is the remake.
Yeah. Should we talk about these one by one?
It's up to you guys. I'm just gonna keep going. Otherwise, if you want to talk about something, you can stop me. But no, okay.
All right. Wait, you already mentioned Spider-Man? I'm sorry. I'm just
Yeah,
not
I
listening
did.
today. Okay, let's just go. I think maybe we should start just from going one by one of these items if we have any comments. So, like,
Okay,
Spider-Man,
so
right?
Spider-Man 2.
Yes. See, when
Do
this
we have
trailer first
comments?
started, I thought it was not. I thought it was not Spider-Man. I never heard of Craven in my life, but
Me
comic
neither.
fans served me up that Craven. Sam, to my understanding, Craven is this person looking for the greatest challenge, and there was someone there trying to kill Craven in a jungle, and
Yeah.
Craven killed them. But now he's has a lock from his little laptop computer on Peter Miles in New York, and then we snap to right Peter with his black suit, symbiote suit, running through New York City in his Bully Maguire persona, pushing civilians onto the ground, with Miles fighting the lizard. And I think it looked really good. It's Spider-Man Gone Predator with Peter's symbiote suit moveset. And I think him and Miles are going to square off in the game. Peter's going to take it over the edge, where Miles is going to be like, "No, stop being sus," and and that's what will lead to Peter ripping off the symbiote. Eddie Brock's going to be in the left corner, and then we have Venom.
I don't think it will be Eddie. I think it will go back to spoilers for Spider-Man. I think it will
Harry?
go back to Harry Osborn.
I didn't know Harry became. I'm not aware of the comics, so there's a timeline where Harry becomes Venom.
No, but that doesn't prohibit Insomniac from doing their own thing.
Oh, right.
Because Harry has never had the symbiote in the comics, and they sort of established that he at least has it to begin with. So I think that they're setting it up that obviously Harry is Peter's best friend, and if they have it sort of do a full circle, and it's Venom or the symbiote has sort of learnt from its time attached to Peter, maybe a little bit of time attached to Miles, and then it gets back to Harry, and Harry then becomes the Venom that we know. I think that works like thematically as well, because then that's like Peter facing an inner demon that he's created that is also his best friend.
Yeah, right. So where did they hint that Harry was exposed to the symbiote?
In the post-credit scene of the first Spider-Man game.
I missed that.
Norman Osborn goes into his secret bunker thing in his penthouse, and he
I remember
opens
that.
up the container, and his son Harry is floating in there, and he's got the black goo webs strung up around him.
I see. I remember. Now that you say it, I remember Harry being in this bunker, but I don't remember the symbiote being around there. Interesting.
Yeah, because like throughout the game, he was like leaving voice notes for Peter saying that he was abroad in Europe doing all this sort of outreach stuff. So then that's the twist, that he isn't. He's critically sort of terminally ill, and also has this alien symbiote attached to him. Which is like, there's dialogue in this Spider-Man 2 demo where it's like Peter's saying that he has to catch Lizard, Kurt Connors, because Harry is dying. So what I think is going to happen is they're going to be tracking down Lizard for his scientific expertise to help heal Harry. And maybe even Peter willingly gives the symbiote back to Harry to keep him alive. Maybe.
This is a really interesting narrative that's going to shape up. I'm really intrigued.
Yeah, they've set up a lot of interesting stuff, compelling, sort of emotional, which is what they did well in the first game. Aunt May, say more. So, no, I mean, it's good. I see there's discourse from some people saying like it's more of the same, and yes, it does.
Yeah, give me
just
it.
More of Spider-Man, but exactly,
it's a sequel.
How many times are we going to hear this discourse?
God of War Ragnarok, guys! It's more of God of War. Yes, that is exactly what I am hoping it is.
Do you know how good the first Spider-Man two games were? You know, come on. So yeah, no, it looks great. I'm sure we will talk about it more, but the saving grace of the showcase.
Wow.
Well, I wouldn't even say saving grace because I don't think it did save it, but at least
Yeah.
The
the
3 days
redeeming
grace.
thing,
Yeah.
the one diamond in the rough, shall we say?
Whoa! Metal Gear Delta, come on.
We didn't
Yeah,
get
so
it was a CGI trailer, Taylor. Come on,
You're a
you know,
CGI trailer.
no date, no release window, no dev team to get excited about. It is, you know, it's cool. I'm glad it's coming, but we know nothing. So
Wow.
Kojima's not involved.
Okay.
next, beyond those
Wait.
two, PlayStation. Go ahead.
Wait. The symbiote powers of Peter look pretty rad. All right.
They do.
A little prototype action going on there.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I think with the tentacles,
Yeah.
Yeah. A little Hermaeus Mora, Dragonborn DLC throwbacks.
Yeah.
But I think it looks really fun. And I really hope Bully Maguire comes out of the shadows. And he starts doing obscene dancing in front of a clothing store in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Or was that in Queens where he did it? I don't know. Bree, you've seen Sam Raimi's masterpiece Spider-Man 3?
Mm-mm.
I don't even know why you're asking, Taylor.
Wow. Okay, I will say, look. For as much shit as I give Spider-Man 3, sorry for the expletive YouTube algorithm, their depiction of Sandman
Very good.
was very, very good.
Yeah.
I like the part where he says, "It's me, I'm Sandman."
It's sanding time.
Oh yeah, no, for real, it's very good. Looks like a diet John Cena, that actor.
Okay. So next thing that is listed here is that the PlayStation announced a dedicated game streaming device called the Backbone, I believe.
No, Project Q.
Project Q.
Project
Backbone's the
Q.
previous smartphone attachment thingy madoodle
Yeah.
bobber.
Oh, okay. Project Q.
So it's
There
a
you go.
big dual sense, two ends of a dual sense with a big screen in between for they say Wi-Fi for remote play over Wi-Fi from your PS5 to your handheld. I think that's what they say now.
HD screen as well.
All right. I think they're going to add cloud support down the line to this device. I really think it makes the most sense for putting this on the market and keeping it there. I don't believe it's strictly just for Wi-Fi streaming, because if it is, I think that's a huge overlook on PlayStation's part.
But do you think like the actual electronics are in there that has the capacity to do that? Because if they are, because I would think that if they were planning on doing that, they would have said that. Like, because we know how bad the reception is, or how mediocre at best the reception has been to this announcement. Like, if you wanted to say, because they know what the competition is, they know the Steam Deck, they know Switch, they know, the ROG Ally. It's like they know what the competitors are capable of, so they are actively marketing an inferior product. It's just the fact that it is specifically linked to PlayStation that is the USP, and that I just don't think that's going to be enough. I hope I'm wrong. Like, I hope you're absolutely right, Taylor, that somehow they do figure out how to back end in cloud support and live streaming, because that would be cool. I would probably get one at that point. But if it's just for remote play in the house, it's like it's probably the most niche product I've seen in years.
I think PSVR 2 is more niche than this device.
I don't think
Hot
so.
take.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
They are actively giving you experiences that you can't have in any other form on this console or elsewhere. They are giving you exclusive games that are specific to that accessory, whereas this is just, oh, you don't want to sit in this room all the time playing a game? Well, you can sit in that room all day playing, all the time. And that's it. That's the gimmick. It's just like the amount of people that will actively spend money, likely for a premium, is so minuscule. I would have thought, even if PlayStation 5s are selling like hotcakes, it's such a weird thing.
Yeah, if they didn't, okay, if they don't make this cloud capable, I will be deeply disappointed in the company, whoever is behind that.
Yeah.
But
So Sony also revealed the first official PlayStation 5 earbuds alongside the hardware.
nice. Hey,
Cool.
Sony audio hardware is decent. Come on.
Their
I will
audio
not
stuff
be
is
using
great,
them.
but it's like this works perfectly fine for me.
Yeah, I'm a big
So
fan of the PlayStation Gold headset from the PS4
Yeah.
I
days.
can't
That was a
use
nice.
earbuds.
Why?
Too many piercings.
Have you tried just turning your piercings off?
That's true.
I didn't know they were turned on.
Get some epoxy, fill in the holes.
Ew.
What?
Disgusting. All right.
Come on.
Assassin's Creed Mirage got an October release date. It's October 12th. It's basically coming to everything, including Amazon Luna, except it's not coming to Switch.
Aw, Luna, there you go.
She's right there. You can't see her, but she's
Yeah, I think they're going back to being traditional Assassin's Creed games, from what I recall, and
Yeah. Well,
I
this
hope
one
it's
is anyway.
this. Yeah, I was gonna say this
or
one
right.
is.
So I mean, like, I'm ready. It's a cool setting.
I'm
I just
ready.
think I've played enough classic Assassin's Creed where I don't know if I'd take another look at this.
Yeah. Doesn't do anything for me, unfortunately.
So the concert I went to this Friday, they did some Assassin's Creed music. They did specifically Assassin's Creed 2 and then Black
Mhm.
Flag, which I haven't played Black Flag. But it kind of got me thinking, like, maybe I do need to get back into the Assassin's Creed franchise, because that's like literally what kind of spurred me into getting into the video games industry. So
Wow,
yeah,
that's
not the game
significant.
you'd expect, but yeah.
Sorry,
So
Assassin's
I'm
Creed
like,
2?
I can't remember if it was 2 or Brotherhood, but I
But it was
remember,
Yeah.
I very vividly remember the moment I made the decision that I wanted to work on games.
Yeah, it was probably an Ezio title. Probably not Revelations. Revelations is a little poo-poo.
Mm-mm. No, it was at the end of one of the games, and
Sorry, Sam.
you're on like a shore, and I remember there's like a flag that's like kind of waving in the wind, and I was staring at the flag, and I remember I was like, damn, I want to make video games.
It's probably not Black Flag, which
It
is
was
my
not
favorite
Black Flag.
Assassin's Creed game, for the record.
Yeah.
God, it's so good. You
I
just ram
just
people with your pirate shit.
hate American history, so 3 was like not it for me. You
3's
know?
trailer. For those who AC3's trailer, especially I think the Super Bowl trailer, I think it was. Man, it's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
It got me hyped for that game. And then I'm like, who's this Hatham asshole? And I cursed again. Kevin, I'm sorry.
Not you got bad. Your microphone's not the right one.
There you go. It's my
You keep
microphone. It's my
swearing, you're in
microphone. That's
so
what
much
happened.
trouble.
I don't know if I should label this as now explicit on podcast apps. I think I'll
No,
keep it.
You're
It'll be fine. Anyway.
Okay.
What
So
am I saying?
next, are you ready for the next one?
No.
Or you want to talk about
Let's go.
Assassin's Creed? Okay. Alan Wake 2 is coming October 17th.
Cool.
Taylor messages us and goes, "Hey, we should pick up Alan Wake 2."
What? It was a good idea.
Was it?
It was a good idea.
It was. It's just
Amon has it.
impossible. Yeah.
I haven't played the first game, and I've heard the remastered version is bad. But I still want to play the first one. Oh, I still need to play Control. Oh no, I need to play
You
Control.
haven't played Control?
Sam, I'm like maybe I've played a couple more games than like no games. Okay, that's how
Yeah.
little games I've played.
God damn.
You guys, we're finding out live. We did get countered
That's
on Delta.
that's
So.
fine. That's
No,
fine.
it is not.
Yes, it
Why didn't we
is.
drop it?
Yes, it is. Because that means that nobody can counter anything
has
else
any
we pick up
counters.
now.
Yep.
So yes, that might mean that it's a 0, better than negative points, but also we are now essentially free of risk of being countered, which is a good place to be in.
Yep. We have 3 open spots,
Sam,
and a 10 that we can drop if we need.
Do we have any insider info on some 3 killer games we can pick up that you can tell us offline just with a yes or no?
No. If I did, you would probably already know.
Okay. Sorry, I just found that out. I was looking that up while you guys were talking. Anyways, okay, Final Fantasy 16 gets a new trailer ahead of next month's launch. June 22nd release
wait.
date.
Who countered us?
There was only one
Well, we
person that
framed
could
off
counter
anyway.
us.
And who was it?
A man.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Dragon's Dogma 2 gets a new trailer. I cannot wait for this game.
Wait. Final Fantasy 16.
We have nothing to. It's coming. Just let it
It
come.
looks so good, man. It looks so good. It looks like one of the best games I've seen in recent memory. You're gonna be taking hold of basically kaiju summons, action combat, huge grand stage. It feels like Dragon Ball Z met an epic scale and it takes itself more seriously, and I'm really excited for it.
Do you want to know what else, Taylor? Clive is. Did you know he's 33 years old?
Who's Clive?
The main character.
Oh. 33? So what does that mean?
He's the oldest protagonist in a Final Fantasy game ever.
Oh, so he's not. So okay, good. So that means people can simp over him without feeling guilty. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Basically, he's daddy.
No, that's Pedro.
That's true.
Speaking of daddies, Daddy Dogma 2 announced.
Daddy Dogma 2. Yep.
Right.
Got a new trailer.
I've never played the
It
first
was not
game either.
announced. Yeah, the first game's too old at this point to go back. It is being developed in the Resident Evil engine as well, which I think is
RE engine. Okay.
Yeah.
The second game,
I've
the
been
first game
very
got a
excited about
remastered.
this.
Oh, sorry, I keep interrupting.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I think the first game got a remaster with Dark Arisen, or was that an edition? I feel like they were both remastered for PS4 and Switch. And Xbox
I
One.
don't know. But I'm
Sam.
not going to play the first one.
Oh, sorry, Sam. I think I'm right. Right?
You're asking the wrong person.
All right, let's Google it. Dragon's Dogma PS4. It was Dark Arisen. Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, it was.
All right.
Yeah, it was remastered for 1080p. Yeah, it's on a PlayStation Store for $30 digitally. That's stupid. Why is it that much? Well, it's a Capcom game. It'll go down to like $2 anyway in like 2 days.
Okay. Next, Bungie announces new marathon series. It looks like the game is PvP focused and won't feature a single player campaign.
Thumbs down. Are you guys
I
familiar with
thought it
Marathon?
looked fine.
I think of all of the live service stuff that they have in development, that has the highest chance of succeeding.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
I thought it looked fine.
Well, besides Destiny, that's always ongoing.
Well, sure, but like in terms of new IP
Okay.
that's live service based.
Well, Marathon is not new IP. Marathon,
Well, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's a reboot,
Yeah.
but
The original Marathon was a campaign-based FPS adventure from the late 80s, early 90s, from Bungie's really early days that I'm meaning to play.
the predecessor to Halo.
Yes.
'Cause
Wait, are they?
Bungie made Halo.
Yeah, right. I wonder if they were linked at all in lore. I guess not, but
Okay, next, Jade Raymond's Haven Studio reveals Fair Games. I believe is how you pronounce it.
Fair Games, more like pair games, because
it's a competitive heist experience about robbing the ultra rich. Listen, I'm all about stealing from the rich. Eat the rich, you know what I mean?
Dude, Payday.
But also, this game looked meh.
You want a heist game? You got Payday and GTA Online. All right, you got the market cornered already.
Yeah, unless there's some really like unique gameplay mechanic stuff going on there, which I doubt. That is like generic, the video game. Like we've seen it 200 times at this point, especially by the time it will be out. It's like it just doesn't stand a chance, I don't think.
Yeah, it'll probably be a flop, but it's okay. Talos Principle 2, excuse me, is coming this year. Foam Stars is a Splatoon-like shooter from Square Enix.
God bless Square, you know, they're just doing weird stuff.
Splatoon mixed with Persona is how this describes it, which is like so accurate.
Not even
I hate it.
Mixed with Persona is doing it. That's doing it some service. It's a Splatoon ripoff.
It sounded so Persona-y, like the music and then like the art style.
All right. I mean, is it free to play?
I have no idea.
If it's not free to play, wow.
Probably not.
I should pick that on Fantasy.
No.
No, we're not.
Next
Gonna
is
do
a
that.
new look at the adorable indie, The Plucky Squire.
Dude, that game looks so good.
Yeah.
Plucky Squire looks one of the best platformers in recent memory. Indie or not, I'm not joking.
Next we have Ghost Runner 2 announced for 2023.
Dope.
Arrowhead's Helldivers 2 announced.
Dope.
Giant Squid reveals Sword of the Sea, and Austin Wintory has been like posting all weekend. It's been great. I'm very
Who's
excited.
Austin? Who's Austin Wintory?
He did the soundtrack for Journey.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that. So this is from some of the devs of Journey, but it's not that game company.
No.
So,
right. Journey,
yeah.
Abzu. Another game I'm forgetting. So the people
Journey
Path
that
and
game.
wait, Abzu isn't from that game company, is it?
No.
Okay.
This is Giant Squid, but
Yeah.
a lot of, or at least a fair amount of that game company devs are part of Giant Squid now. That's sort of like their spiel.
Yeah, cool.
So,
Already, Resident Evil 4 remake VR mode trailer for PSVR 2.
dope.
Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 announced for late 2023.
Apparently the first one's not bad, but I'm never going to play it. So,
All right. I do want to say something on Helldivers. I know we went past it.
Go ahead.
Feels similar to Risk of Rain had a great transition from its first to second game going 2D to 3D.
yeah.
And granted, Risk of Rain wasn't top down like Helldivers, but I have faith that Helldivers 2 is going to hit the nail on the head. That is going to be a really good horde-based co-op shooter.
Got the stuff. Yeah. I think they've got the stuff. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to like be something that I keep going back to. But if they like drop that as a PS Plus thing, which I could see happening, because it's not like AAA, but it's like AA.
Yeah.
It
High
would fit
AA.
very nicely into that day one launch lineup that they've done over the past year or two. So yeah, I think it looks great. Better than I was expecting.
Okay. Cool beans. Gree, however you want to pronounce it.
I said Gris originally, but I think it is Gree.
I think it's Gree as well, but I don't actually know. The creator reveals Neva or Neva, I guess. Neva Eva.
They just like making games that we can't pronounce.
It's coming 2024. It looks stunning. Write it down for fantasy for next year.
Don't really know what the game is, though.
Who cares?
Which is a bit of a recurring sentiment from this showcase.
Yeah, that's true. Next is Cat Quest Pirates of the Caribbean. Cat Quest was really good, the first one. I will most likely play this. And plus, cat puns. I have no idea how to pronounce this, but Towers of
Agaspa.
There you go. It's a Breath of the Wild like game coming next year. Revenant Hill, which looks stunning, is coming to PlayStation 4 and 5.
Apparently not Night in the Woods.
Yeah, I was a little confused by that.
No, and it's actually not the same devs either.
No, but that cat looks identical.
But they know what they're doing, and I
but
assume
it is
they checked
from some of the devs.
Yeah, they must have checked beforehand to make sure there's no,
copyright on the art style,
legal liability issues about, I don't know, intellectual property. So, but I assume they went through those hurdles already.
Yeah, probably. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink is coming this winter.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Ultros is a colorful Metroidvania coming next year. It actually looks pretty good.
That one looks good, yeah.
Perfect World Games Tower of Fantasy. Kyle was foaming at the mouth for this. 4 new PSVR 2 games revealed. Crossfire, Sierra Squad, Arizona Sunshine 2, Synapsis, and Beat Saber, and then of course the Resident Evil 4 VR mode. Firewalks Concord is coming next year. Ooh.
Yeah.
What is it?
It is a game.
It's a PvP multiplayer game set in a science fiction universe. There you go.
Wow, that sounds so original. I've never heard that before.
New gameplay trailer for Immortals of Avium. And the last thing that I saved for last, Phantom Blade Zero.
Phantom Blade Zero looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Everybody was freaking out about that game. So
I just hope it's not one of those games that looks incredible and ends up being pretty bad. You know, it's
I'm
got
very
that air to
interested.
it.
Yeah. I'm
I
kind
just
of
hope
interested in
it's
how that combat plays out because a lot of it didn't. I'm sure it's not, but it kind of made it look like it was turn-based combat or not turn-based, quick time based. Do you know what I mean? Because like a lot of those things like that happened in the trailer that looked like they were gameplay during like those boss fights and stuff, like especially like when you're on like the cart, it looked like it was more like quick time event-y than like the actual fight.
Hmm.
But I'm kind of hoping it is actually the fight and I'll just fall off the cart a million
Oh, I see what
times.
you're saying. That it's real time. Yeah, I hope so too. Um, but yeah, it
We'll
looks
see.
great.
Yeah.
Uh,
Did they reveal when it's coming? No
I
release
don't
date
think
or
so.
window.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess 2 years.
A bleak and punishing semi-open world. There you go.
My favorite.
A pl-
That's what I always want to come back to after a long day at work. Bleak and punishing open
yeah.
world with emo undertones. And
Yeah.
ironically, that's what I look. Final
Yeah.
Fantasy 16. Give me all the bad boy, drooping hair down.
Emo
Urgh,
vibes.
urgh. Spider-Man 2's emo because it has symbiote. Bree has a letter opener.
That is not a
That's
letter opener. They're scissors. We talked
Bree
about this.
has a scissor opener. Um, yeah. Did we talk about Delta yet? Metal Gear Delta.
Yes.
All right. I'm absent today, but it's okay. I'm excited for
So
that.
we've made it through all of the announcements finally. Now that we're 46 minutes in the show. Um, and I kind of want to move straight into the second story.
Wait, wait, wait,
Um,
wait, wait. Oh, okay, yeah, that's relevant. Oh
who would
shoot, do
like
we have?
to take it?
Let's see, what's the time for the first story? Let's say about 17 minutes.
Who knows? I think it
Who
was more
knows?
in the 20s. Just leave it. It's fine.
Okay, but anyway, yeah. This who said PlayStation needs a second? All right, we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about this. I I have my thoughts about this.
Okay.
But
Do you want to? Who wants to read this story?
I can read it. No, I don't want to read it.
Okay. Do you want me to read it, Sam, or do you want to?
I can get it open. Give me 2 seconds.
I can read it if you need.
Give me. It's loading. It's loading. Okay, people. PlayStation seemingly needs a second showcase this year, according to Tom Henderson from Insider Gaming. This is sort of like an opinion piece more so than anything else. He explains his disappointment in the PlayStation showcase, that it was good but not great. He explains that, as we all likely know, it has been 20 months since the last PlayStation showcase in September 2021, where that was Marvel Spider-Man 2 reveal alongside Wolverine, first full trailer of God of War Ragnarok. I think Final Fantasy 16 not necessarily debuted there, but we got the trailer that said summer 2023. That sounds right. He is talking about the fact that not a lot of first party stuff was there. And there's stuff that we know is coming, but just was a no-show. He explains that Wolverine, Death Stranding 2, Rise of the Ronin, The Last of Us multiplayer, Horizon multiplayer, Ghost of Tsushima 2, they were all absent. And he explains that although it's possible that some of these games could make an appearance at Summer Games Fest on the 12th of June, and this is a sentiment that I've seen going around a lot. I'm kind of taking bits out. I'm not just going to read because this is, like I said, an opinion piece. The general sentiment is that we know basically nothing about what Sony first party is doing compared to what we knew before this showcase, and that is a bad thing, especially because the showcase was seemingly being touted as setting up the next phase of PlayStation. what the next at least 1 to 2, maybe 3 years was going to look like. And that was not what this was. Says, he talks about why was Spider-Man 2's release date not there? That's absurd that it was still just fall 2023. And yeah, he's basically, as the title suggests, saying that PlayStation need to do another showcase this year. He himself has said, alongside a couple of other insiders, they have seen stuff that they know is basically ready to go, at least on a marketing side of things, putting a trailer out, an announcement out, and PlayStation just didn't show it for one reason or another, which leads you to believe they're holding it for something else, maybe, or for another reason. Could be a mix of both. I have thoughts, but I've talked for a couple of minutes now, so I'll hand it over to you guys in terms of opinions.
Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to touch on the story, so that way we can kind of talk about our opinions of the showcase and like kind of tie this stuff in as well.
Yeah.
So as good as the showcase was, I feel like this showcase is going to be remembered as mediocre at best, maybe even bad. Not because the showcase itself was bad, but just because it didn't deliver what it needed to. And I think that it carried a lot of disappointment with it. Go ahead, Taylor. I saw you shaking your head. Go ahead, Sony Pony.
When you put it that way, okay.
Okay.
I thought it was a good showcase. PlayStation exclusive or not, Sony put on I thought they put on a solid show. Metal Gear Solid remasters, Metal Gear Solid Delta, the remake of 3. Close look at Spider-Man 2, Final Fantasy 16. I don't think we mentioned it, but maybe we did. Street Fighter. A lot of, I don't know. It's just it got me hyped for games, and I feel like Assassin's Creed Mirage, Alan Wake 2, Dragon's Dogma 2, and I don't know. It just got me. Okay, the live service stuff was a bit Talos Principle 2. The Plucky Squire, all of it it got me excited for games that are coming out, and I feel like that's the main objective as a showcase.
Right.
And PlayStation has I think a lot of stuff coming that they didn't show in the showcase, but I think they're not going to. That stuff will still be coming out, and I don't think this will hurt their, I don't know, quote unquote, chances. I feel like it was a fine showcase.
How specific was this showcase to PlayStation though?
Maybe weekly. Maybe I would say it's weekly specific to PlayStation. It was more of a game showcase with a couple. Do we have a PlayStation exclusive one here besides Spider-Man or Final Fantasy?
Yeah, some of the smaller
okay, some
games,
of the live service ones, right?
Well, and I'm pretty sure Sword of the Sea is, at least console wise,
right.
Ultros, I think, is as well, the Metroidvania type thing.
So what do we know is coming down the line that they didn't show here? We know Wolverine's coming.
Yep.
What else do we know from Sony that they didn't show here?
Death Stranding 2. Ghost of Tsushima 2 is happening,
right? Ghost
even though
2
it hasn't been officially announced. Last of Us multiplayer.
Last of Us multiplayer.
So it's
because they mentioned Ghost in the financial meeting thing, right?
So maybe PlayStation does end up having a light year next year, and they don't. With how long games take to develop, we might just have some bad luck in terms of all of these game releases might get bunched up in a certain period. So then you have a 1 to 2 year window where the releases are relatively light.
But it sounds like it would be on PlayStation's end rather than the devs' end, because if the games are ready to market, that would mean that they're going to be ready shortly, right?
No, there's a difference in what PlayStation might interpret as being ready to market. Before, they used to show games that were 2 to 4 years out. I think they've been trending towards games that are much closer to release to show them to the public.
Yes,
because so that might be a part of their strategy. Yeah,
we see a trailer and then the game 5 years, 6 years later, and we're like, where the hell is this game?
Right. So I still thought it was a good showcase. It just didn't. illustrate a ton of the immediate roadmap of games that we haven't been told about yet.
Okay.
And you could argue that is a showcase's function, and I understand that argument. For me, a showcase is to get excited about games, some of which I don't know about, or hopefully most of which I don't know about.
I
I
And
think
don't.
see, but I think that's the issue for
that's the
me
issue.
more so than
Okay.
anything, is that pretty much everything at this showcase we already knew about, with the exception of a few indie titles. But
And Metal Gear.
and I mean, we knew Metal Gear 3 was coming, the remake.
Well, if you pay attention to leaks, you did. For the common PlayStation fan, it wasn't public information, we should say, right?
No, but I think it's been spread around, especially in the past couple of months, like wildfire, that it's going to be announced soon.
All right.
So it's like, I mean, people can watch our live reaction. When Snake came out, it wasn't a what the mind-blowing thing, which it would have been cool if it hadn't leaked and that happened. I think that would have helped the showcase a lot. But it was just sort of like, yep, okay, Metal Gear Solid 3's there, cool. I think I categorically disagree, Taylor. I think it's a bad showcase. Not because the games that they show are bad. I think I'm with you that this is excellent games, but like the vast majority of the announcements were non-gameplay CGI, which I don't necessarily have an issue with, but they didn't really have anything new, fresh, exciting to counter that. Specifically because of the cadence and the sort of precedent that they've set with other PlayStation showcases, and for what PlayStation are historically renowned for. Like, none of that was there. None of it. And yes, Spider-Man 2 looked great, but one, it was a known quantity. Two, again, it looked like more Spider-Man, which we all love.
Where's the release date?
Where's the release date?
Yeah, that is also a critique I had.
That's the closer. Like, you don't have a one more thing. Like, I think that is something that is like, that has to be a showcase of this caliber, of this size, particularly when it's been so long since they've said anything. I think this showcase would have been so much more palatable if we had had a PlayStation showcase last year. If we didn't have to wait so long to get a showcase of this size that's called a showcase that isn't a state of play, for them to come out and then not really have anything that is PlayStation first party. Like, I can't remember who said it, but the discourse was like, if you had told me that a PlayStation showcase happens where no big AAA single player game is announced, that's ludicrous, in my opinion. And we're coming from a place of entitlement, because Xbox fans are unhappy with Xbox because they haven't delivered any games, and the ones that they have are terrible for the most part. But on our side, we're coming from the opposite direction, where we have had nothing but great games, pretty much. And yeah, maybe it's unfair to just expect that time after time after time, but they've conditioned us to do that. And what I don't get it. What is the issue with even just having a logo treatment for Ghost of Tsushima 2?
Okay, I understand that.
It's just like, I think all the issues that I have with the showcase are just compounding upon each other, and it's souring it more and more the more I think about it. And I'll stop talking, but just to relate it back to what Tom Henderson was saying about needing a second showcase, I said this to you, Bree, privately. I think if they don't have something else this year, they're in trouble. Not in major trouble, like PlayStation is still winning, of course. This isn't apocalypse. I'm not being hyperbolic, but I think they're going to have an issue, because if, like you say, Taylor, next year is going to be light, and really the only first party stuff we're going to get is live service titles, which is what we know. We know, like, Concord is coming, and that's a live service multiplayer thing.
Other than like maybe
games next year. Right.
Other than maybe Wolverine, which might
again,
next year.
If it was next year, would you not want to say, hey, here's a 30-second teaser of Wolverine? Maybe it's still CGI, that's fine. but you put a 2024 date on it, and then you have PlayStation fans going, we get Spider-Man 2 at the end of this year, and then next year we get Wolverine and X
Yeah, I
and X and
understand.
X. Whereas now we're just going, okay,
Yeah.
so we've got this and this.
I,
But
I,
What
I guess
what
from
is next year?
I guess from a hobbyist perspective, I'm like, I have plenty of games to play. I'm not super stressing if Sony is light next year, especially in a far ahead market leading position compared to the big green. And it's like, I don't know, maybe I'm maybe that's because I have the privilege of multiple game platforms, but I just I feel like this is how the pendulum swings sometimes, and that's okay. And I don't think it's. I've seen some people like really dooming on this and like hyperbolically saying, "This is it. Sony doesn't have
oh
this, that,
yeah,
and the
no,
other." And I'm just
yeah,
like, yeah. But I could see how it might be. You consider this an average performance, but I don't think, even in hindsight, I'd call this still necessarily a mediocre one. But I do think, hopefully, right? I guess the hope is that there's saved one or two, three things for a Summer Games Fest, right? Or basically what Henderson's saying, a second showcase, whether it's formally a state of play or not, showing what's next.
yeah,
I mean, we've seen Nintendo do it in Twitter
yeah,
posts. Here's Paper Mario, the Origami King, and
yeah.
Pikmin 3 Deluxe and Pikmin 4, or Pikmin 4 might have been during a showcase, but I think at least Pikmin 3 Deluxe and Origami King were on Twitter posts, and it's like they really could do that if they were more unsure about. I assume it's because they were more unsure about their progress, their timeline. But yeah,
I think it's just a really bad time to lose momentum.
mm,
Like they will remain market leaders for at least the next couple of years, regardless of what decisions they make right now. But I think when we know that they have such strong cards to play, and we know that Xbox is so weak, and I'm not doing a console war thing, but if they are competing businesses, and Sony seemingly does just want to kind of do as much as they can to kill Xbox, like I, it's strange to me that they would let the narrative shift in this way. Rightly, wrongly, fairly or not, the narrative around PlayStation has shifted in the days since the showcase. People have gone, oh god, no, I'm stressing about like 60% of their budget is going to
well,
live
yeah, but
service.
that's
It's like,
like I don't. That's not most people. Most people don't know. Like
sure,
that's not
but
most
like
PlayStation consumers.
I still think that discourse online, when it persists as strongly as it has since the
Well,
showcase,
see,
I
that
think that
relates to
that
what
will
we're gonna
permeate out.
right. That relates to what we're going to talk about later with Jim Ryan talking to quote game fans,
Yeah.
and they actually do. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately, are paying attention to the enthusiast online discourse. I say unfortunately because a lot of it can get toxic real quick, and that's not the company's primary consumer base. But you're right; they do listen to the conversation. Some companies don't, like Nintendo. It's on another planet. Xbox is now listening to it. PlayStation is now listening to it. So I say, unfortunately, these, this narrative shifting, they do perceive that, and I wonder if it might affect shareholders' views on it. But
Can
yeah,
can I
I sorry,
ask what?
I have to
Not
leave
even just
soon. Just a
yeah.
heads
I
up.
was gonna. If you want to
Sorry,
go, you now. I mean, like it's a good break
sorry.
if you need.
I need a break, y'all. Had plans that the showcase was important, so I hopped on. But nice meeting y'all. Sorry for interrupting you all the time and shouting expletives. We'll see you all in a couple
Bye.
weeks because next week I won't be here because I'm camping. Sorry, everyone. Bye.
Bye, Taylor.
Um. So I have to ask, what is coming the end of this year? Not just PlayStation, just in general. Like, is there anything in the November time slate? I'm sure there is something, but I can't
Yeah,
think
I
of
mean,
anything.
I couldn't really tell you off the top of my head.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just like concerned, like what does the end of this year look like? What does the first half of next year look like? Like, sure, you could say like, oh, they'll make an announcement next year for like what's coming out for like the fall slash winter of like 2024. But like, what are we getting in the next like 12 months?
And again, like we're coming from a very entitled sense because they are delivering stuff to us, and they are going to
Yeah.
deliver stuff to us later this year. Final Fantasy 16, Spider-Man 2. These are going to be great games that sell very, very well. They're going to score highly. Hopefully, I can't see either of those two specifically failing. But it's just again, me and you have spoken both on No Limits and privately about how baffling the decisions that Xbox have been making recently are.
Mm-hmm.
And never in my wildest dreams did I imagine I'd be having the same considerations about Sony. Like they seemed like they were so on the ball, and they are in such a good
that's kind of
place.
what they do, right? They
Yeah,
get ahead and then they drop the ball.
they know what they're doing. They know what they do well, and they do that thing well.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, what is Xbox being criticized about? Not having enough games. Yes, PlayStation are still delivering games, but because you keep delivering games, we want to know what's the next thing you're going to deliver. Whereas Xbox are like, deliver something.
Yeah.
Just like we're asking the same kind of questions, but for very different reasons. And it's still coming from a positive perspective. And we do know that the games are coming. It's just, this was
Where
the time.
are they?
This was the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they don't do, unless they're, going to have a massive blowout at Summer Games Fest or Game Awards,
That would be wild.
I'm kind of scared a little bit, and I'm not trying to fearmonger or anything. I know that PlayStation are going to be fine, but it's just, again, they're getting cocky. They're overconfident. Because I don't think that if Sony weren't feeling confident, if they weren't feeling confident, they would have shown extra stuff. They would have just thrown everything at the wall, being like, you guys keep your eyes on PlayStation for the love of God. But it's because Xbox is doing so poorly right now, they feel that they can hold stuff back. And technically that is correct.
Mm-hmm. So frustrating.
But you've seen people reacting negatively to the showcase, like insiders as well. Tom Henderson being like, this was bad. And that isn't a good thing. And, Taylor, I admit that the online discourse is, for the most part, a relatively small minority of the overall player base, but I still think that it's relevant in the conversation. Because if that conversation is strong enough, it will bleed out into the mainstream. You've seen it with Xbox, where people are like, I would argue that a lot of people, my dad and my mum, know about the woes of Xbox currently. I didn't tell them, but they've seen news reports on Facebook or Twitter, or even stuff on the TV. There's been news stuff about Microsoft and the position they're in. So it's like, not that I think Sony would ever get to that stage. For the love of God, I hope they don't.
Hopefully.
But it's like, you're almost taking a step down that path. It's just turn around, keep on the path that you've been on. It's so weird.
Yeah. I didn't think we'd be here talking like this last week.
No.
Oh well. Alrighty. Well, let's head into the financial district of information. Yeah.
Why not?
Okay, so I don't want to talk about everything because it was a huge presentation. Sony held a PlayStation financial presentation with Jim Ryan and Herman Hulst. They said they're going to be focusing on growth, Bungie integration, and PC mobile expansion / strategy. Again, I don't want to touch on everything because there was like you can go see like all of the whole deck. But I think it's worth kind of touching on some of these major points.
Yeah.
Herman Hulst said PC has grown to be a substantial part of the PlayStation business thanks to the acquisition of Bungie Spider-Man on PC and The Last of Us Part 1. Ooh, I don't know about that one. Is that really what they told them?
They're just saying that because of the HBO show. They're just hoping people don't pay attention to how it performs.
Yeah. They're like, I mean, it contributed to these numbers, you guys.
Exactly.
Oh my God. There is lots of talk about expanding the reach of PlayStation PC and mobile. Jim Ryan expands on this and says our PC business is a significant profit contributor. I wonder if we'll see more about PC during the showcase. We didn't. They did also talk, which I think is really interesting, about live service game investment from basically don't cry. From FY19 to FY25, we're going from an 88-12 split to a 40% traditional game, 60% live service. Business model. To be fair, they're like expecting to see growth. So like the 80% looks on the graph looks like it's about level with the 40%. So it looks like they're not trying to cut down on their traditional at all. They're just trying to
and obviously that
super
is
expand.
we'll talk about it in a minute, but that is obviously also potentially factoring in the idea of additional acquisitions and stuff, bolstering up, so it's not like they're necessarily taking away, it's just that they're bringing additional stuff in potentially to then add to that 60% or make sure that the 40% stays at 40.
Yeah. It looks like Sony says Herman Holst said that there's 12 live service titles in production currently.
How's that going for you, Herman? How's that going for you? Have you released one yet? No. Oh, that's interesting. I'm sure the development on all of them are going fine. It's fine.
It's fine. It's all good. What do you think they're gonna do when the first one comes out and absolutely flops?
I've said I think they're going to pivot. Not necessarily fully. I don't think you can fully pivot when you are. I'm not saying necessarily this committed, but when you have, like you say, 12 in development,
they have to cut some of these, right?
Yeah,
like not all 12 of these are going to see the light of day.
It's looking like at least one probably won't.
Rest in peace. We'll talk about that later.
God damn it. But yeah, I think they'll realize relatively quickly that it's just not feasible. Like I've said it in the Discord, but the live service market is so volatile, so competitive.
Yeah, it's so overdone as well. Like there's so many games already.
Yeah,
and those games are
like
very
pre-established.
Yeah.
Like, not only are you, it's not like you're trying to break into a virgin market where there's not really a lot of mind share or dedication to a particular game already. You are jumping into something where the big fish are already very big fish.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
they already have the market.
Impossible. It's not impossible to pull players away if your games are really good quality and have something compelling to them. But do you really believe that all 12 are going to be financially, you're going to recoup your development cost and you're going to profit from all of them?
No,
and like,
no way.
To make sure that I'm sort of heading any potential comments off, we know that when they say live service titles, that doesn't just mean exclusively multiplayer. That could be a single player centric game that has a multiplayer mode with live service elements. That would count as one of the 12.
Yeah.
But still,
do you think that the Horizon game they're counting as one of these 12?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then, I mean, I hope that game does well because that game sounds cool. I love the Monster Hunter game.
I think that one has a higher likelihood of, assuming we even ever see it.
That's true.
It probably has a higher likelihood of success because I think it's got a lot, again, of unique stuff going for it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there aren't other people copying Monster Hunter, but like the fact that it is the Horizon robot dinosaurs thing, I think that there is enough unique stuff there that could make it enticing to people. But when you're talking about like a Fair Games, where again it looks generic, the generic game, like it's just bizarre.
I mean, the thing that's so wild to me is that like the market is so oversaturated already, and I don't know how they don't see this coming. Like,
I think they probably do. It's just that the potential money pile that they could dive into if one of these or multiple of these land is too enticing to them.
Yeah, you think it's just worth the risk for all 12 games?
I don't think so, but I think that they obviously think that there is
God.
enough risk mitigation potential there
All
that they're
right.
willing to try. Again, whether all of
Maybe.
this comes to
Oh God.
fruition, I don't
Maybe
think
that's
so.
why they didn't announce Ghost 2, because it's going to be one of these live
Don't
services.
get that dirt out of your mouth. Stop it. No.
I knew that was going to make you
I
mad.
don't doubt that Ghost 2 will launch with not necessarily integrated, but an additional multiplayer mode, because Legends was successful for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that there is potential within that. So I'm sure that that will return to some extent. But it's
You don't think it's just pure live service game?
stop it. Stop it. I shared in Discord, what Greg Miller said, talking about the live service stuff. It's like, not only is the live service market so competitive, you are having live service competition within your PlayStation studios.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, how can you not anticipate that? Oh, you released the first live service game. Let's say that does really well, has a good player base. If the second one is also really good, do you not think that you're going to bleed some of the player base from the first game into the second one? Now, that's a big ask saying that both of those are going to be great enough, but that's PlayStation's mindset.
But the thing is like it depends on how close they are to each other, right? Because there are different markets in live service games,
I don't
right?
think so. I don't think so. Because from what we can imagine some of these live service games are going to be, Last of Us, Factions, Horizon, Multiplayer, Ghost, not that they're identical, because they're not, but they are all going to be like third person-y shooting / hacky slashy / it's like
Maybe
they're
not though, right? We don't
I mean,
know.
I guess maybe not, but I think that in terms of
Because
the
like
IP that they're going to want to capitalize on, there's going to be discourse that they are relatively homogenous and they are just this single player IP but ported into a multiplayer environment.
yeah. But the thing is like there are some genres that kind of like have a similar audience. So for example, something like a battle royale would
Mm-hmm.
have like a similar audience to something like a Halo game, right? Like those things will kind of like overlap a little bit. But when you're talking about something like maybe like an MMO, and I'm not saying that they're doing like a full-blown MMO, but like an MMO isn't going to be the same audience necessarily as like a battle royale.
No.
So the live service games, like we don't know for sure, like genre wise, and the same thing with like a Monster Hunter genre. Like I would argue that maybe like a MMO and a Monster Hunter genre would have more in common, but like if they touch upon enough different genres, like I think it'll be okay. I don't think it'll be an ideal situation by any means, and I think there will be a lot of crossover, but I don't think it'll be like necessarily like the worst thing. I would say that's like the least of my concerns with all of this.
I just think that trying to dip your toe this far into live service is enough of a risk already that I don't think they will want to, on top of that, add in the risk of it being a new IP all the time. We know like Fair Games is, we know Concord is, but in terms of like if any of their other first parties are working on live service, which we know that they are, they're going to be on bankable IP, and then by that extent, we know to a degree what those games are going to look like. In terms of like, I think so. Like, if a Horizon live service game comes out, it will play like Horizon. If we know Factions is coming out, we know that will play like Last of Us. If a Ghost live service comes out, it will play like Ghost. To an extent, right? It's like,
You've
that's
just
what I
admitted
mean.
this game is happening now.
Ghost Legends, I'm gonna be specific. They will want to bank on IP that they have already established, because that is most likely to draw in an audience. So because it's the bankable established IP, we know what those IP are like. So it's
I
like,
guess.
a Horizon live service game to me isn't going to be suddenly a FPS, or it's not going to be like a Valorant like where it's a hero shooter, like
Yeah.
Overwatch. It's going to be Horizon, but multiplayer. And yeah, there'll be some gimmicks and new mechanics, I'm sure, but in the grand scheme of things, and it's like for the PlayStation audience that you're trying to alert to these things, I'm not sure they aren't just going to be like, I'd rather just play the next single player installment in X IP,
Mm-hmm.
So they've got an uphill battle regardless, but I just think that they're sort of dooming themselves ultimately.
Yeah, that's true. You ready for my next pitch on a live service game?
Don't do it.
Wolverine's live service, and you were all Wolverines running around. That'd be great. That'd be so funny. I would play it just for the memes. Okay. I did want to cover this tweet as well. So this is from Shinobi602. It's basically like a little short blurb from like a news story, but basically Sony plans to raise additional funds, seemingly gearing up for more significant acquisitions as consolidation continues. They need to invest in the entertainment business, quote, at a completely new level, end quote, says President Hiroki Totoki. So this was kind of leading into the showcase, which I also think did not help. So
Not that
I
they would
wanted to talk.
announce an acquisition at a showcase, but again,
No, but it didn't
it's one
add
of
the
those
hype.
news stories that's like, oh, they're getting ready to go,
Yeah,
and they just didn't.
they did it. They're like, we're just gonna chill here for a second. uh, honestly, with all my good pitches on live service games, maybe they should
I don't think so. I'm afraid.
uh,
But I
I
mean, like it's a great thing because I like Sony succeeding because I enjoy playing on PlayStation. I'm not a
Mhm.
capitalist, but it's like I understand the reality of business that they need
Mhm.
to remain competitive. And unfortunately, this is going to probably annoy some people that are listening who maybe like Xbox, but this is Xbox's fault at the end of the day. I don't think that Sony would be doing this, not necessarily just acquisitions in general, because of course they would do that regardless, but in terms of raising additional funds to make more significant acquisitions on a whole new level, I think was his quote.
Yeah.
That is very clearly in reaction to Bethesda and Activision Blizzard King.
Yeah.
And that's why we will likely, not necessarily, but likely see Sony get into the acquiring publishers business.
Ugh.
Like I just don't think that significant acquisitions on a whole new level just means a slightly bigger dev. Could it mean that? Yes, I'm sure that will come as well at some point,
Yeah.
sooner rather than later. But
I mean, I think we were talking like it could be something like Square, FromSoft, like From Software. I always abbreviate it. I don't know why. I only eliminate like a small part of the name anyways.
yeah, well, I mean,
But I mean, it could be something big like that.
if it's a
But
publisher, it will be Square.
mhm.
Square sold off a lot of their Western studios over the past year or two. I can't remember how long ago that was, but they sold off like Crystal and Eidos to Embracer. So they've thinned themselves down, which realistically means they're sort of looking for buyers, really.
Mhm.
And if they are looking for buyers, who would buy them? It would be Sony. I'm sure
Yeah.
Microsoft would attempt an offer, but Square Enix are so far in bed with Sony and have been for so long that
Yeah.
even if Microsoft offered more money, I don't think they'd take it.
Mm.
I just think that they have established themselves on PlayStation. Final Fantasy
Yeah.
VII Remake, not on Xbox. Final Fantasy
Kingdom
16.
Hearts.
Yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy 16.
Kingdom Hearts original, yeah, I should say.
I would be surprised if we ever saw 16 on Xbox.
That's kind of sad for Xbox people.
I mean, for Xbox, sure, but if it means
It's
that
happy for me.
the titles that Square Enix put out are better because they are relegated to one platform and they don't have to work out multiple SKUs, that's fine. If
Yeah.
Bethesda and Activision Blizzard King are game, I have no issue. Either we have an issue with everybody doing it or nobody.
Yeah.
There isn't favoritism here. You can't say, oh well, Xbox can buy Bethesda because they're losing, they're in last place, so they need these things to catch up. It's like, that's technically correct, sure, that will help them out,
Oh, I
but
don't
that
like
doesn't mean that
exclusivity
Sony
at all.
can't do it. I have no problem with exclusivity. I think that it
Yeah.
is a requirement and a necessity for this industry to exist the way that it does and has for a long time.
That's fair. That's fair.
Particularly in a console market, like if everything was streaming, I think that becomes a weaker argument. Still the case, because you'd want to draw people to your streaming platform,
Of course.
but I think it would be lessened if it is all cloud based. But because we're in a console market, I think exclusive are important. And we have seen seemingly, Final Fantasy 16 looks like it's probably going to be the best Final Fantasy game.
That's what I've been hearing too. Watch them
So
overhype. They better not.
like,
Anyways,
I don't think it will. I don't think it will disappoint.
we'll see.
I think it's far more likely to succeed than fail, put it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, and not saying that it is the sole reason, but I think that the PlayStation exclusivity helps in that. In the same way that if it was Microsoft exclusive, I think it would be benefiting in similar ways. But it's like, if it's going to be a publisher, it would be Square. We talked about FromSoft. I think that's a harder thing, because FromSoft, I think they like their independence. Not saying that they wouldn't ever get acquired, but I think they would be quite expensive.
See, here's my thing though, is they would be very expensive, but if Sony acquires them, then we have a better chance at getting more Bloodborne.
Oh, 100%. Like it would be a major win for PlayStation in general. Because I guess I could see a reality where they acquire FromSoft, and FromSoft are like, we would still like to keep our stuff multi-platform because they know it will sell gangbusters. So Sony would maybe want that money, and Sony would be open to it. I think if that was the deal, Sony would still take it, even if it meant it had to stay multi-platform. Same with what they did with Bungie, right? But yeah, FromSoft is maybe a harder sell for me. I've said to you and Taylor, like, I'd love to see something like Remedy happen. Again, that's tough because they do have parent companies and they would likely require a lot of money as well. But yeah, nothing's impossible. We don't know exactly how much more they're investing and how significant these acquisitions are. Maybe Sony are going to buy Microsoft,
Maybe.
That
would be really crazy.
Anything's on the table. It's not
with enough money, I guess.
Yeah.
I did, while we were talking about like the whole Square stuff, I did remember that Kingdom Hearts 4 is coming at some point, and I got excited. So
again, that could have been something at Showcase,
There's no way, dude. Have you seen how much they've shown of that game? It's not coming for a long while.
That's what I mean. You could have shown something for it because it's been formally announced. We know that it's coming.
Yeah,
that would have been a hype moment.
Oh, it would have. It would have. Oh, I literally, when I got the collector's edition of Kingdom Hearts 3 because I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, like diehard fan. And when I got my like collector's edition, there's like a letter from the creator that's like, "Thank you so much for waiting so long for this. I appreciate you so much." I was just like full sobbing just reading this letter. Oh, it was a wild time. I love Kingdom Hearts. Anyways, okay, let's jump to factions really quick. And Taylor wanted us to say Neil Druckmann is dating an ostrich, ?
I'm not sure why, but he said that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this one that is not a link. The link says link. Hold on one second.
We don't really need to look it up.
It was just the Twitter link to what Naughty Dog was saying.
Yeah, so Naughty Dog put out a formal statement, I think pretty clearly in response to backlash that they weren't at the showcase.
I have it if you want me to read it.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay, we know many of you have been looking forward to hearing more about our Last of Us multiplayer game. We're incredibly proud of the job our studio has done thus far, but as development has continued, we've realized what is best for the game is to give it more time. Our team will continue to work on the project as well as our other games in development, including a brand new single player experience. We look forward to sharing more soon. We're grateful to our fantastic community for your support. Thank you for your passion for our games. It continues to drive us.
Had to make sure they got in including a brand new single player experience. Don't panic, everybody. We're still doing a single player game. Don't panic. Don't panic.
Who is this? Oh, this is a 3D artist. Somebody replied, making it look like it was an official Cyberpunk 2077 tweet, and it has the same format as the Last of Us announcement. And it's like, we know many of you have been looking forward to our Last of Us. It's just really dumb. Sorry. It really got me.
Yeah. And from the looks of it, from the timings lining up, there was a Bloomberg report saying that the team working on this multiplayer game had been significantly reduced, that the people at Naughty Dog were reevaluating the title, which is never a good thing.
Well, they also were talking about how they sent in Bungie, right? And Bungie was like, yo, this is not going to work.
Yeah, they said that it wasn't looking good in terms of keeping players engaged long term, which is the whole point of a live service. So, yeah, I think that they sort of wanted to put this out, one, because obviously people were upset that Last of Us Factions was a no-show, even though we've known about it for literal multiple years at this point. It was meant to ship with Part 2 in 2020. Obviously, it's expanded since then in terms of scope, but still. But I think that they also wanted to get that out because they knew that the Bloomberg report was coming, because obviously Bloomberg would have reached out to Naughty Dog for comment. They didn't say anything. I mean, it's not looking good, folks. Like that's the best way to put it. Like, maybe this game can still come out. If it does, I imagine it will be a significantly pared down version of whatever they might have had conceptually in mind. And ultimately, I think that that's going to disappoint people, because we've waited. It's kind of like when you see a film being advertised for like literal years because the film had to be delayed for reshoots or whatever. When the film comes out, more often than not, it's sort of a bit of a letdown because you've heard about it for so long and you've built up so many expectations because of the amount of time that it's taken, that it's inevitable that in some sense the final product will underwhelm. I think that we're kind of at that stage with Factions, particularly if it's in the here and now struggling. It's not like this is a report about where they were a year ago and they could be in a much better position now. It's been 3 years since Part 2 came out, and now they are struggling to the extent where we probably aren't going to see it in the next year at the very least.
Yeah.
So it's
Rest in peace, fantasy.
Can whatever this ends up being, assuming it ever sees the light of day, be worth that wait and that hype? Because Naughty Dog themselves have said that this is like super ambitious and they are, really proud of it. It's like, what if the final product comes out and it's not going to be as ambitious as you've suggested it's going to be, and it is sort of more of a run-of-the-mill multiplayer like Factions 1 was? I don't think that's enough. So I mean, I said
did not
in
play the
Discord,
first multiplayer game.
Factions 1 was great. Like,
Yeah.
it was janky in the same way that the original Last of Us was a little bit janky in terms of like shooting, movement mechanics, that kind of thing. It felt very heavy and sluggish by design to an extent, but still, there's a lot of possibility. And I liked the idea of Factions being in the Part 2 engine-y space with the increased mobility and stuff and better gunplay. I said in the Discord, I would prefer for it to be cancelled at this point, as disappointing as that would be. If, like I said to you, Bree, if they aren't going to commit 100% to this, what's the point?
Yeah, that is very true.
Because this is the prestige premium PlayStation studio. It is the PlayStation studio. If they're going to put out a game that is different from what they usually put out, because this would be a separate product in and of itself, not attached to a single player title, if they're putting it out and it is subpar in really any way, it will be destroyed by people, rightly or wrongly, by fanboys on the other side, whatever. And I don't think Naughty Dog needs that or deserves that. So it kind of goes back to the whole sentiment that we said about the showcase in general. It's like, stick to what you know. Doesn't mean you can't, spread your wings every now and then, reinvent yourselves to a degree. But going from premium AAA single player to supposedly premium AAA live service, that's a hell of a jump.
And that's also only part of their team, right? It's not even.
Yeah. And even less of their team now. It's like, you have multiple teams within Naughty Dog, one presumably working on Neil Druckmann's single player game, whatever that is. And then obviously the factions team, and most of the factions team seemingly are being taken off and put onto the single player team. So it's just like, just let it die. Like, it's sad, but it's symptomatic of, I think, the issue that pretty much all of these live service attempts are going to have. I'm sure maybe one or two could prove me wrong and come out and be great, but in the grand scheme of things, I just think it's right out of the gate a bad idea.
Yeah.
Not saying that Naughty Dog would be incapable of making a good live service, but going cold turkey from single player to AAA live service, I don't think it's feasible, even with Bungie's help.
Yeah, the other thing that I kind of wanted to tie into this is it looks like PlayStation is using Bungie to, like, they're basically passing Bungie around to the 12 live service games. And they're like, hey, take a look at this one. Okay, now what about this one? Which, I mean, that's probably part of the reason why they acquired Bungie. It's just the idea of them, like, sending them on, like, this tour of live service games just kind of cracks me up a little bit. So,
yeah, but I mean, absolutely. Of all of the studios underneath PlayStation's umbrella, Bungie is the most adept and experienced with live service stuff. They said that they acquired them for their live service expertise. And I think it's the smart move, even if it does mean, and I hope that Bungie are harsh, because they need to be.
yeah,
If they're just like, oh, well, this is a little bit rough here and there, but, it's looking okay in places, so keep going and we'll put it out. You know what happens if they do that? Redfall happens.
God. Yeah.
Like that is the case. It's supposedly internally at Xbox Studios, people were like, no, it's looking all right, and the Arcane name will carry it and all of that, and it just didn't. And I'd rather have Bungie be, this is absolute, dog doo-doo, and have the game be cancelled or significantly reshaped than have it come out and be subpar.
Yeah, I mean,
because it will taint the studios.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say, is that would really be sad if it comes out and it's like, well, now Naughty Dog has a strike against them.
Yeah, why would they want a blemish on any of these teams that have built up such a good name for themselves over so many years at this point? It's just like Phil Spencer on the Kind of Funny interview being like, I will never restrict teams from following their creative ambitions. I'm all for that as well. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't want these studios to just make one type of game forever. But I think that there has to be a gradual progression. Like, you don't want the risk of just diving into a whole new game structure, gameplay experience, the sustainability of the game long term that requires a whole different set of expertise. I'd rather them have they're saying Naughty Dog make a new game, new IP in a new genre that has a multiplayer component, like they did with their previous games. Uncharted had multiplayer, Last of Us had multiplayer. Do that, and then if that succeeds, you can then, let's say that the multiplayer component of that game does really well. Because if it doesn't, you still have the single player component to hold up that product as a whole. The sales will still be relatively good because it's Naughty Dog and the quality of the single player will likely be there. If the multiplayer game does do well, you can then expand the team that is working on that multiplayer component, and then that team can then be a specific multiplayer team within Naughty Dog that can then build off into a potential solo live service title. But I think that there has to be that middle part. I don't think you can skip straight to the end.
But I think that that's kind of what it sounds like happened with Factions, right? Is that they were because they planned to launch it with 2. And then I think they just let it get away from them in terms of the scope of the project. And now it's too late. They can't now release it with 2.
Yeah.
Which it's been a few years.
Fine. having really good ambitions for your multiplayer games, that's great. That's great. And Naughty Dog, if anybody, Naughty Dog could absolutely achieve it. They have a track record of doing great multiplayer modes. But why not? If this multiplayer game expanded into something special, something different, something bigger, why not have it? If you're going to release it in whatever state it's in, at the very least, have it be a new IP.
Instead of fall under the Last of Us umbrella.
Exactly. Then if it fails, it's not a tumor hanging on to an IP that is otherwise healthy and doing very well. Yeah. Particularly with the HBO show and stuff. It's do you really want that, rotten bit just attached to everything else great around it? You could have it just be a new IP that you really try and do something interesting with. And if it fails, it's still an IP that is under the Naughty Dog umbrella, but it's not attached to something else.
Avatar: The Last Airbender survived, so I'm sure they'd be okay.
Did it though?
Yes, it did. We just don't talk about it.
And also, it had to go on a massive hiatus. So,
I mean, we're getting another live action from Netflix.
Yeah, but I mean, how long has it been between live action? A decade?
I genuinely don't know when the movie we will not speak of.
I think it's been over a decade.
I have no idea.
It's I don't want that to be enforced on the IP from PlayStation that I love.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, the last thing I want to touch on here is that Insomniac did confirm that Spider-Man 2 is going to be a single player adventure. They just tweeted it. That's all I had. I just want to make sure that we touched on that briefly.
Yeah, I mean, not really a surprise. There's been a lot of rumors about co-op mode. I wouldn't be surprised if there is some co-op thing. I think it's such a no-brainer. There are 2 Spider-Man in this game, and it could be post-launch. I imagine it would be post-launch.
Yeah, for sure.
Because otherwise, if they probably would have hinted at it, if not outright confirmed it when this was asked. But I think that it could come a little bit down the line and just be a small, contained experience where you and a friend can just swing around the New York that they have already built, doing random crimes. It doesn't have to be this massive.
You're doing crimes?
Brand new story. Or you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Don't have it be this super massive ambitious thing that has its own narrative and stuff. Just let people be in the sandbox that you've already built with a friend. That's all that needs to happen.
All right. right. Well, the other thing that I'll just touch on briefly, just because Taylor put it in here, is Jim Ryan has said that PC games arriving later than their console counterparts is acceptable to fans. He specifically wanted us to mention the quote where Jim Ryan said, "I have the opportunity to ask game fans for their opinions, and when I ask them how they feel about the lag, they often say they feel the release of the PC version 2 or 3 years after the release of the PlayStation version is acceptable." I think the part that's funny about this is he's like, I talk to fans.
Do you, Jim Ryan? Are you in amongst the weeds? I don't think you are.
I don't think he is. If Phil Spencer said this, I'd believe it. But Jim Ryan,
I mean, Jim Ryan put his face on that showcase, and that was very
oh
clearly out of
God.
touch with what PlayStation fans want.
No, he talks to the fans all the time, Sam. All the time.
Yeah.
Oh, anyways,
And
that's it.
just in terms of like what he said specifically, I'll be very quick.
No,
Like,
you're good.
he's correct. Like we talked about it before, so
Yes, he is correct. It's a
I
weird
won't
quote.
rehash it. But like, the cadence of PlayStation titles coming to PC 2 or 3 years later has worked for them. They get the upsurge in sales again. Again, we've talked about it before. I think it's a viable strategy. It's been working. I don't think they should change it. Day and date means that these developers have to build, again, multiple SKUs. That opens it up to being buggy, a bit rough. We don't need that for the Sony first party titles. So as much as I would love everybody to be able to play these games, the reality of these situations is that if everybody getting to play them day one means a sacrifice to any extent in quality, I don't want it.
Yeah.
And that, again, coming from a place of privilege, I know that, but still, it's don't hate the player, hate the game. That is how things are. It's how they will remain. So I prefer these games to come out and be great as they historically have been.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay.
Sorry, not sorry.
Well, you have to sing the song now. This is a requirement now.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, you don't know that song? Sorry, not sorry.
Who's it by?
I believe it's Ariana Grande. Anyways. That's
Do I
not it
look
for
like
us.
the sort of person that sings Ariana Grande and knows all of her songs?
I'll tell you a story later. We're gonna run too long.
I think
we already are too long.
I think she did a song, "Thank You Next." Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's the only. I don't know how it goes, but I think that's the only song I know she did. She did one about rings.
I don't really listen to her music either. I don't know. I'm like on this hill here.
Yeah, just don't poke the bear. This is not good.
You're like, I'm secretly an Ariana Grande fan.
Covering up the poster back there on my wall. There's no poster.
Alrighty, well, thanks everybody for listening and hanging out with us. We appreciate your time and we hope you had a good time as well. It was fun discussing. You can find us at YouTube at Save the Game Media, and don't forget to check out the Discord, twitter.com/Save Game Media. And Sam, where can people find me?
I'm not going to engage in that kind of, manipulation.
Oh, I was gonna do your Twitter handle. Okay, that's fine. Go ahead. Just do yours. It's fine.
People will get confused then, they'll be looking for you and they'll be like, who is this guy that just talks utter nonsense? What was the question? Oh, people can find me on Twitter at Sam Heaney. That is SAM, obviously, but then the usual HEANEY.
Yeah. Okay. You can find me at Fabulous Brianna, FABULIST BREANNA. And then you can find Taylor on the Discord. I believe he's TPR on the Discord. So yeah, you can find him there. Again, thank you guys for hanging out with us. And I hope you have a good week.